Hi everyone. So nice to see you guys. Thanks for letting me know where you are joining from in the chat. I like to read all of those. I'm Liz with Premier Yarns, and thanks for joining me on this Saturday. Thanks to Michaels for hosting this class. Hi everyone. That's Nicole. So today we're making this simple linen stitch Lapghan. So this is obviously a crochet little blanket. It's a very kind of small one. I would say like a crib blanket or a little Lapghan, but this is super easy to adjust and make larger if you want to, and I'll let you know how to do that. So we are going to use, well, this is the Lapghan. As much as you can see it, I know my camera's like super close. And if you want to switch over to the other, let me click, got it. Later. Yeah, switch over to the other one, and then I'll show you what supplies we're going to do. Meeting is being recorded. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, just pop them in the chat. I'm going to be kind of monitoring that as I can, and Nicole will help me if I miss anything. But yeah, if you have any questions or you need me to slow down or you want me to repeat something, just feel free to say that and I will answer as much as I can. Can I have a copy of the pattern? So the pattern should be, there's a free pattern. We're going to work directly off of the free pattern. And that should be posted in the chat, and it should be when you signed up for the class. But if it's not, Nicole will do that. Somebody asked about, yeah, there you go. Nicole shared the file. So somebody asked about the chenille yarn. You can really use, because this is a blanket, you can kind of use any yarn that you want. You have to just like maybe adjust for your stitch size. So because this yarn that we're using is kind of a thick bulky weight, you want to use something that's comparable to a thick bulky weight. So if you don't want to use chenille, or if you want to use a different, wool or whatever you want, if you have a comparable weight, so this says a number 6 weight, that should be fine. You could make a blanket with it. I wouldn't say that for all crochet projects. Some things you have to be very, very specific when you do yarn substitutions. But for blankets, if it's a little bit wider or a little bit, you could always just like easily make it a little bit longer. And if it's a little bit wider than the pattern says, then that's no big deal because it's a blanket, right? If that was a sweater or a hat, that would be a big deal. So in this case, you could probably substitute any bulky weight yarn that you have. And if you have a chenille yarn that's much thicker, because we have the Chenille Home Slim and the Chenille Home, which is a bit thicker, you can use that as well. Your blanket's just going to be wider. So this is the Chenille Home Slim. It's a number 6 weight. It recommends an 8mm hook, and the pattern recommends a different size hook, but I'll go over that too. So I have it in, this color is cream, I think. Obviously you can use whatever color you want. Yeah, this one's cream, and this one is a really, really pretty purple. It's called Elderberry. Okay, so we're just going to be using these 2 yarns for our stripes, and I'll show you how to do the striping. So my pattern says, if I look right here, it tells me to use a 10mm hook, which is an N15. That's pretty big. That's a little bit bigger than what the pattern calls for. And if you're kind of loose with your stitches like I am, you might want to go a little bit smaller. But you would really just check your gauge. So if you make a little gauge swatch and you get 6 stitches by 7 rows in the 4-inch distance, right, then your blanket is going to come out the correct size. So it will come out the size that is listed here under the finished measurements, 36.75 inches by 48 length. So 36 width by 48 length. And that's kind of like, so if we have 6 stitches per 4 inches and we do this many stitches, we should get this length and width for our blanket. But people are not always like that sticklers about blanket sizes. They could be bigger or smaller, like we talked about. But so I'm not going to go over to do the gauge swatch. I'm just going to use my 9mm hook because I know I crochet a little bit loose. And we're going to just start with the very beginning of the instructions, right? So we have color 1 and color 2. Color 1 is the It doesn't say. So let's make color 1 the cream. It should list the colors up here, like which one is 1 and which one is 2, but it just says elderberry and cream. So in this case, I'm just gonna start with the cream, okay? So we're gonna start off with a chain, and if you guys have any questions, just pop them in the chat as I move along here. We're gonna start out with our chain, which always starts with a slip knot, because my instructions tell me to chain 56. So we're gonna do 56. I'm not gonna do 56 because that would take too long. But yeah, you can use all one color if you want to. We'll talk about the colors with the linen stitch because there's some sort of caveats. So I'm not gonna do 56 because that would take too long. But if you want to make yours larger or wider or less wide, you probably won't want to make it less wide, but let's say you want to make like a scarf or something, then all you need to do with linen stitch is chain an even number. So in this case it's 56. I'll do let's see how wide I get it. I'll do any even number, and then we're going to have an odd number once we pass row 1, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to do my slip knot. That's how everything starts out with your slip knot. Put your slip knot on your hook. And if the chenille yarn, sometimes it's hard to see the stitches. If you guys want me to, I can show you with this smooth yarn as well. And I've got a little mess in here. There we go. So sometimes these yarns, they get twisted in the center. You just have to fight with it a little bit.
Liz, for the amount of yarn that is listed on the supplies list, about how much of a Lapghan would you get out of that? Because Rhonda asked it. She said it kind of looks like you need 6 since it does say 3 balls of each. So I was just curious.
Yeah, you need 6 total. So if you want this size that's listed in the pattern, you're going to get as long as you have the right gauge, you should get a width of 36 inches, and you should be able to work to 48 inches in length with 3 balls of the purple and 3 balls of the cream. So if you want to do different colors, you would have to just kind of do that math. You know what I mean? So you would need a total of 6 balls to get this size. Now, of course, if you want to make it larger, you're going to need more yarn. So just keep that in mind if you decide, well, I want mine to be a bit wider than this, than 36 inches. So yeah, 6 balls total, 3 of each if you want to do the stripes. If you want to do solid linen stitch, you would just do 6 balls in one color. Okay, so we're going to do our slip knot again. And I'm just going to chain any even number just for my little sample here. You would do, like I said, what's in the pattern. So make sure I do this nice and slow for you guys. Okay, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's see, 12. Oh, let me do 2 more. 13 and 14, just so I have a nice kind of sample size. So there's my starting chain. That's my foundation chain. As you can tell with the chenille yarn, it can be a little bit difficult to see your stitches and your starting chain, but this is what it looks like. So as long as you have your even number, which in this case, if you're going directly from the pattern, you would do 56. And now on row 2, it tells me that I want to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So, and if this is confusing for everyone, I'll show you on this smooth yarn too, or for anyone. But this is kind of just like very basic. So here's my hook, and I have this loop on the hook. And then right below that loop on the hook is my first chain. It kind of looks like a V. And then I have another chain, and that one kind of looks like a V, and so on. So this doesn't count as anything. This is the first chain from the hook. This is the second chain from the hook. So this is where I want to start my row 1. So I'm going to keep the color that I'm working with, and I'm just going to insert my hook right into the center of that second chain from the hook. So first one and second one. And then the pattern tells me to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Okay, so yarn over, pull that through. Now that I have 2 loops on the hook, I'm going to yarn over again and pull that through. And that is my first single crochet of row 1. And now if I look back at the pattern, I'm right over here to where there's a little star. So the little star comes before these instructions. And these instructions say chain 1, skip 1 chain, single crochet in the next chain, and then I have this semicolon. So everything between the star and the semicolon is what we're going to repeat. So let's just start from there. Chain 1. And that's just like I did in the beginning. You can totally use any yarn. Yep, you can. Just keep in mind the amount's going to be different, and the obviously the width is going to be different. If you're using a worsted weight yarn like this, you're going to have you're going to need to chain many more, because you're not going to have as wide of your stitches aren't going to be as big, so it won't make the blanket as wide. Okay, so now here's my chain, and here's another chain here. So it tells me to chain 1. So I'm just going to chain 1, just like I did in the beginning. There's a chain. And now it tells me to skip a chain on the foundation chain. So I'm going to skip this one, and then I'm going to go and make a single crochet into the next one. So single crochet into this next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So now I have a single crochet. I have a chain 1 right here. I've skipped a chain on my foundation chain, and then I made a single crochet into the next chain. And that's basically everything from here to here. So now it just tells me to repeat from star across. So that means everything from just after the star to just before the semicolon, I want to do that all the way across my foundation chain. So however many you chained, if you did 56, like in the pattern, or if you are making it longer, or if you have a smaller yarn and you need more width, you would just do these stitches all the way across. You're going to have a different amount, obviously, at the end. But yeah, so kind of just go by the width. So we're going to chain 1, and I'm going to skip a chain, single crochet into the next chain, and single crochet. I'm going to chain 1, skip a chain here, and single crochet into the next chain. Chain 1, skip this chain, single crochet into the next chain. So I'm just repeating the same steps all the way across. Chain 1, skip a chain, single crochet into the next chain, chain 1, skip a chain, and single crochet into this very last chain right here. Sorry. Okay, so that's what the very first row looks like. And what makes this really fun is because this yarn is so squishy, it kind of like takes up space, and it makes it nice and fluffy and pretty. So It's a good stitch to use with your chenille yarn. Let's go back to the pattern here.
Liz,
Yep.
is it possible at all to start from the beginning? I hate to ask.
No, that's fine. I can start.
We have someone who's like, if you could go just a little slower.
Yeah. And if it helps, I can do, I'm going to leave this one here and I'll do row 2 with the chenille. But if it helps, I'm just going to show you with the smooth yarn because sometimes it's hard to see the stitches with the chenille yarn.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm doing the same, keep in mind, I'm doing the same exact thing. So you can do this with any yarn. I just want to show you with this yarn because it might be slightly easier to see. So I did my slip knot. And this is just the way I do it. There's different ways to do a slip knot. So do it however you feel comfortable. And then I'm going to chain. We did 14. So let's do 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And with my chain, I'm just yarning over and pulling it through the loop on the hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on the hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on the hook. I lost count. So I'll count my chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So now that I have 14 chains, see what I mean? They're easier. They're just easier to see. You can see those V's a little bit better. This is the loop on the hook. That doesn't count as anything. And then I've got this first chain right here, and the second chain right here, and third chain right here. If these chains are difficult for you to work into, because when you work into them, they kind of move around a little bit. So if it helps you, you can turn your chain this way. And you see how you have these little ridges or these little bumps right here. You can also work into those bumps if those are easier for you to see. Right, so see this first bump, that's the first chain from the hook, and this is the second bump, that's the second chain from the hook. I always work into the back bumps. That's just the way I like to do it because it's just easier for me to determine where those chains are, and I think it looks prettier in the end. I like the finished piece. So it's a little bit harder to see the bumps on the chenille yarn. So let's say you want to work into the back bumps. We're going to go the first chain from the hook, second chain from the hook. And I'm just going to do a single crochet right into that one. I'm just going to put my hook under that back bump and work my single crochet in there. So single crochet. Okay, and now I can skip the next bump, which is a chain. And I can chain 1. So yarn over, pull through. That's 1 chain. Skip this chain, and then I'm going to single crochet into this next chain, which is right here. So just insert my hook under the bump, yarn over, pull through. There's 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through those 2, and that's my single crochet. And those are the only 2 stitches you need to know for this pattern: single crochet and chains. That's all linen stitches. It's all single crochets and chains. So now we're just going to repeat the same thing. Chain 1, skip this chain, single crochet in the next chain. Chain 1, skip this chain, single crochet in the next chain. So in crochet, you always want to have the same number of stitches per row. You never want to have fewer stitches like in the subsequent rows than you do in the starting rows. And that's if you want a nice rectangular straight edge blanket. If you're making a triangle or something, of course, that's different. But for blankets, it's very, very important when you're just starting out to count your stitches after the end of every row. And that will help to avoid, like, you know, some people, when they make their first blankets, they kind of start to turn into like a trapezoid like that because they're missing stitches. So what we're doing is when we chain 1, that's a stitch, that counts as a stitch. And we're skipping this chain right here. So we have the same amount of stitches, right? And then in this next chain, I'm making my single crochet, which is a stitch. So I'm using that chain, and then I'm chaining 1, skipping this chain, single crochet, chain one, skip this chain, and now I have the very last chain here. I'm going to single crochet in there. So of course I have the same amount of stitches that I did in that foundation chain. So I have 1, 2, because this chain counts as a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So remember we counted 14 for the starting chain, and we should end up with an odd number. So once you have your stitch count, it has to be an odd number. Your starting chain has to be even, your stitch count has to be odd for the linen stitch to work. And the only reason why we chained one extra for the starting chain was for that turning chain, which in the end doesn't count as anything. So it kind of like drops off. So now for the remainder of the blanket, we should have 13 stitches. In the swatch, in the blanket, obviously you're gonna have 56. That makes sense, hopefully. Okay, so now that was row 1. Let's go back to the chunky yarn just so you can see it's a bit more challenging with the chenille yarn. It's just the nature of this yarn, because if you look at the chenille yarn, it's like if you pull some off like this, it's like this thread right here, and then there's all these little fuzzies kind of wrapped around that thread. So all that texture just creates like some fuzz to make it a little bit harder to see those stitches. So we are on to row 2, and it says with C1. So we're sticking to this same color for row 2. We're not switching colors yet. Chain 1 and single crochet in the first single crochet. Yeah, you can use any yarn you want. Just make sure you're accounting for the size of your stitches, because like I said, smaller yarn or smaller weight yarn is going to produce smaller width stitches. And just like this example here, I have 14 stitches here, I have 14 stitches here. Obviously this is going to be much smaller, right, because it's a smaller weight yarn. So you can use any yarn you want. You just have to account for the fact that you might need more than the pattern calls for, and your finished measurements are not going to be what the pattern says. You know, you have to kind of do that math on your own. Like, say, if you don't feel like doing the math, there's a way to do the math to be very precise, but if you don't feel like doing the math, just take whatever yarn you want, make your nice loose starting chain. Don't make your starting chain really thick. And then if like hold it out and like, okay, this seems like a good width or whatever, measure it on your tape measure. If you want it to be 38 inches, 40 inches or whatever. And if that starting chain is about that width, you should be okay for your blanket in the end. But if you get the gauge, like let's say you use big twist and you make a gauge swatch and you get 6 stitches by 7 rows equals 4 inches, then you can do everything exactly as the pattern says, and you should get the correct width. So the width is going to obviously depend on the gauge. Okay, so for row 2, we are going to chain 1, and then it says single crochet in the first single crochet. So now I just chain up 1 and turn your work. Okay, single crochet in the first single crochet. So this is the first single crochet right here, this very first one. And I'm just going to go right into the top of that stitch under both strands, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a single crochet. And then it says single crochet in the chain 1 space. Okay, well right here, as you can see, I have a chain 1 space, and I'm just going to single crochet right into there. So I go directly into that open space, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, that's kind of like the beginning. And now I have my little star again, and it says chain 1, skip a single crochet and single crochet into the chain 1 space. And then my semicolon. And so that means I'm going to do that all the way across. So whenever you see a star, and a semicolon. It's always going to be followed by repeat from star to wherever they want you to repeat it to, okay? And that's a pretty standard crochet pattern thing. Okay, so chain one, just like we did on that foundation row. And here's a single crochet right here. I'm going to skip that single crochet, and then I'm going to work a single crochet into this space right here. So insert my hook directly into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Chain one, skip this single crochet, and go right into the space with a single crochet. Chain one, skip this stitch, and single crochet into the chain one space. So we're not working into stitches, we're working into chain spaces. So in crochet, you can work into stitches or chain spaces, or kind of sometimes sides of stitches, all different things. So with the linen stitch, you're always working into the chain one spaces, which is what makes that sort of stripe look, where it looks like it's staggered. It doesn't look like it's, you know, like a flat stripe. And that's because we're working into the spaces and not into the stitches. So chain one, I'm skipping that stitch, and I'm working my single crochet into the chain one space. So now what do I have left here? I just have a single crochet left here. So let's go back to the pattern. And it says repeat from start to the last single crochet. Well, okay, good. That means I did it right, because I'm on the last single crochet, and single crochet into the last single crochet. So now, because I don't have any more chain spaces, I need to work into the top of this single crochet, which is right here. So I put my hook under both strands, just like you would a normal stitch, and work a final single crochet into that single crochet. Now I want to count here, see what I have, just to make sure I'm on the right track. If you look like this way, we can kind of count our stitches. This is a single crochet. This is a chain. So we're counting the chains as stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I should have 13 throughout the whole process here, right? I should have the same number of stitches. Now, if we go back to the pattern, did I miss a question? Let me know, Nicole. If we go back to the pattern, it says single crochet in the last single crochet, comma, changing to C2, changing to C2, and then we turn, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do that now, because on the very last stitch, that's where we want to change our color to set us up for the next row, okay? So to change color, and this is basic standard how you would change color in any pattern. I'm sure there's a couple other ways to do it, but this is kind of like the you know, the main way. So I'm just going to pull out this stitch completely, and let's say we're on our last single crochet, but I know at this point I need to change color. So what I want to do is start my stitch, insert my hook under both of those loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, and at the point where I have the 2 loops on the hook, where you normally would yarn over and pull through, this is the point where you need to change your color, okay? So I'm going to drop this strand that I'm working with, but don't fasten it off, don't cut it. And I'm going to grab my new strand, and I'm just going to lay that over the top of my hook like this, and pull that through to complete the stitch. Now, if you can see what happened here, I completed that stitch in the cream color. As you can see, the top of the stitch is the cream color. The whole side of the stitch is the cream color. But I'm set up to start my next stitch with the new color. So now at this point, we can move on to row 3. And now it says with C2, chain 1 and single crochet in the first single crochet. Okay, I have C2 set up and ready to go. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And sometimes it'll go real loose on you, so you can just pull that down and pull that white one down too to tighten it up. Now I have my chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet in the first single crochet, which is the same stitch right here that my yarn is coming out of. So go under both strands, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, and yarn over, pull through those 2. That's my first single crochet. Single crochet in the first single crochet, and now we're back to basically what we were doing before. So chain 1, skip a single crochet in the chain 1 space, repeat from start to the last 2 stitches or spaces. So we're just going to do chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet in the chain 1 space, and we're going to do that to the last 2 stitches. So chain 1, here's a single crochet. I'm going to skip that, and I'm going to single crochet into the chain 1 space. Chain 1, single crochet in the chain 1 space. It's almost like you don't really have to even worry about these single crochets because you're just kind of looking for those spaces, which are very evident once you have your piece. It's like, okay, it's really easy to work into a chain space. Sometimes with the chenille yarn, it's a little bit harder to find the actual stitches and work into the stitches, but it's very easy to find those big kind of open spaces. So that's why this is a good stitch. This stitch and like a granny stitch are very good if you have trouble with chenille yarns or any kind of textured yarns. If you try to do stitches that are where you're working into spaces as opposed to stitches, it makes your life a little bit easier. So now I'm already at my last 2 stitches. So my pattern tells me to chain 1, skip a single crochet, and single crochet in the last single crochet. See how there's 2 single crochets? I'm going to chain 1, skip a single crochet, and single crochet into the last single crochet. Okay. And on to row 4. So we are continuing with C2. Chain 1, single crochet in the first single crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and single crochet into the first single crochet, which is this stitch right here, this very first stitch. And now you can kind of guess what's going to happen next. I'm going to need to work a single crochet into here, and then a chain 1, skip the single crochet. But let's say single crochet into the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip a single crochet into the chain 1 space, and repeat that to the last single crochet. Okay, so here's a chain 1 space. What you want to remember is you want to work the single crochets into the chain 1 spaces, and when you have a single crochet, you want to chain 1 and skip that one. So if you're looking at it and you're saying, oh, I'm supposed to chain 1 and I have a chain 1 here, then you know that's not right. You have to do a single crochet into there. So like some rows start with 2 single crochets and some start with 1 single crochet. They alternate like that. And that's just how you keep the pattern going. So chain 1, skip this single crochet in the next one. Chain 1, skip this single crochet into the chain space. See, it's really easy because I'm going right into those chain spaces. I'm really struggling to see. Yeah, it's a struggle to see the chains on chenille yarn. That's why you should practice on a nice worsted weight yarn like this. So if you want to try the back bumps, you can try that. If not, you just have to make sure you're in a very well lit area, and maybe start your chain. Make sure your chain is not really too tight. Make sure it's kind of loose, and just practice, because it can be a struggle with chenille yarn. That's why I say try to do something where you're working into spaces and not stitches. Okay, so I'm chaining one, skipping this single crochet into the chain space, and now I have my last single crochet here, and I'm just gonna single crochet into that last stitch. But at this point, I know I'm probably gonna need to change color, right? So I'm not going to complete that stitch. I'm going to go to the first leg of the stitch. And now what's cool about this is, because we're not changing colors every row, but we're changing every other row, at this point, I don't have to worry about weaving in ends. I have this white, this cream that I have not fastened off. It's still attached to my ball. So I can just pick that up from this row down here, and work with the white and continue to do that all the way along the side, right? If you want to do linen stitch, and a lot of people do, and it looks really pretty, it's like a very traditional linen stitch pattern where you have one color each row. So you change color every row instead of every other row. You can do that, but you'll have to cut every single row, because like at one point you're ending here, at one point you're ending here, here, like that. So you can't pick up like you can right here. If you want to be able to pick up your yarn and carry it along the side like this, you have to change colors every other row, not every row. So I'm just going to kind of put this purple aside here, not cut it. I'm not going to cut it because I'm going to pick that up in a little bit. And I'm going to grab this cream and I'm going to lay it over my hook, and loosely, don't pull it too tight, loosely pull that through so I can begin my next row with the cream. And then I'll show you what happens. So this cream is just kind of floating along the side like that. Let's see if I can show it to you on this, on the finished blanket. See how you've got all these strands are just floating along the side edge like this, only on one side edge. They're not on the other side edge because we're only changing alternate rows. This is the other side edge. So this is the advantage of doing it this way. You don't have to worry about cutting. Now, if I were to change every row, I would have to cut each one of these strands, and then I would have these strands hanging out with every single row. So this is 2 rows, 2 rows. So I would have lots and lots of strands. So what I could do is weave in all those ends, which is a lot of work, and most people hate weaving in ends. Or you could just kind of tie them in a knot and leave them as like a fringe. You could do that too if you want to use like multiple colors. So sometimes people like to do with this stitch is fun with like scrap yarn, where you just do like one color, whatever you have left over, you know, and just do one color for each, which is really fun if you want to leave the long fringe. So you could do that too. Or you could just do it like this and change it every other row. And you'll see it has a bit of a different look. Like the ending of it has a bit of a different look when you change every other row as opposed to every row. Okay, so now I'm on my white, and now I'm just basically repeating. So my pattern says with C1, repeat rows 3 and 4, okay? It says with C1, repeat rows 3 and 4, and even though it says with C2, don't confuse that. We want to repeat these rows, but we want to repeat them with C1. Okay, so just kind of do 3 and 4 like that, and then 5 and 6 with C1, and then we'll go back and do 3 and 4 with C2, and 5 and 6 with C1. But 5 and 6 is basically a repeat. So the pattern is basically just these 2 rows over and over and over and over. But they have to tell you, like, okay, you want to alternate C1, C2, C1, C2, but you're basically repeating those 2 rows, alternating colors. That makes sense. So now I'm going to do the same thing. Chain up one, single crochet in the first single crochet. Now I have a single crochet here. I can chain one, skip that single crochet, and just work across into my chain one spaces. And because it's so repetitive, you really won't have to refer back to your pattern once you get the hang of it. Now here I'm at the end, I have 2 single crochets. Of course, I want to chain one, skip one single crochet and single crochet into that last single crochet. And let's do that. Single crochet, chain one, skip one, single crochet, chain one, skip stitch, single crochet. I'm just going into those chain spaces. And if you're having trouble, single crochet and then single crochet into the last stitch. And now at this point, I did 2 rows in the cream. I want to drop that cream and pull up the purple again. So it's right there for me to pull up and just start over again. Don't do it really tight because then it's going to cinch like this. Right? So just give it enough room so where it can float along the side edge like that. That strand can float along the side edge. And then continue. Do the same thing. And then if you feel like it's getting wonky or whatever, just make sure you make a habit of counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Right? So you make sure you have the same number of stitches all throughout. That's basically it. So that's just a repeat of that. Oh, and what I wanted to say too, so what we were talking about with the floats along the side edge like this, if you don't like these floats here, if you're like, oh, I just don't like the way that looks or whatever, you can work a border around your whole entire blanket if you want. And the way you would do that is you would start at any corner, doesn't matter where you start. And let's say I want to make a white border, a cream colored border. The pattern doesn't do this. This is less like modification since we have a couple minutes. I would just put a slip knot on my hook. This is how I always start a border. I put a slip knot on my hook and then I'll start with like the corner stitch here. So I'll go right under that single crochet, right? So insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. There I have a single crochet. When you turn the corner, you have to add a few more single crochets, otherwise it'll cinch in. So I usually do like maybe 1 or 2, okay? I'm sorry, maybe 2 or 3, or you could do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. That'd probably be good for this one. So I would do single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet all into that same single crochet. And that's just for the corner because you have to have enough distance to turn the corner, right? So then we're just gonna start going around, right? Okay, these are the sides of my stitches, but I want to cover up these floats. So what I'm gonna do is kind of try to find a space and then just, okay, this is like kind of a space here. And I'm going to put a single crochet in there. And then here's another sort of space right here. And I'll put a single crochet there. And here's like a nice, sometimes you don't want to go too far down, right? You want to kind of try to keep them even. Right here, I'm gonna, and this is like not precise, okay, you guys. You just have to find spaces as they present themselves to you. And the most important thing is you try to keep it so it's even. So you don't have too many stitches and you don't have too few stitches. So you want to look at your rate. Like let's say these are 2 rows here, right? For single crochet rows, I would put 1 stitch per row end. So here's a single crochet row end. I'll put 1 single crochet in there. And then I want to put another one right in here. And I'm going down far enough to where I'm covering up that float. And here's another one that's like a good space there. I'll just go right in there. And this takes practice. Sometimes you might put too many in, or you might put too few in, and you'll have to kind of rip it out and start over, which is fine. And I'll put another one here. And move over here. Is it easier to do with big yarn? Not really. It's the same. The only thing about big yarn is it goes by faster, right? You're going to make a bigger piece with fewer stitches. So people like to use big yarn because it makes it faster. If you're making a lot of blankets, I would say. If you're making like sweaters, I like to make sweaters. I don't really use too much big yarn, because then your sweater is like super, super bulky, and I don't like that. So I'm just kind of, like I said, a lot of this is trial and error. I'm doing this at a rate of about 1 stitch per row end. And remember, each color has 2 rows. So if you are looking at this and you're like, okay, I'm going to put in 2 single crochets for each stripe, that should give you a perfect amount of border stitches to where it's not going to be too tight, and it's not going to cinch up, right? So we're going to shoot for 2 single crochets per color. And as you can see, I'm just covering up those floats as I go. This border is going right over those floats, and you're not even going to see them anymore. 2 and 2. See, that looks pretty already. That kind of cleans it up already. You have just a nice clean border. Once we get all the way, so we're just going to continue doing that. See how these floats are? They're not great, but trust me, weaving in ends, ugh, I hate it. So it's worth it for me. I would much rather keep the floats and just put a border over them than I would to weave in a gazillion ends. So then what I would do is, once I get to the next corner, I would just do the same thing I did before, where right here, this is the foundation chain, so it's going to be a little bit different. It's like you're just going into like the chains, right? The bottoms of the chains. I would do the same thing in this corner, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all into that same space to turn the corner, okay? And then you continue down the bottom. This is the foundation chain, so you would put 1 single crochet into each chain to the next corner, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in this corner, and then just complete that all the way around. And then when you get back to the start, back to where you were, you can just join that with a slip stitch, right? So let's pretend we're joining with a slip stitch. Let's say I'm done. I would go into that very first single crochet I made and slip stitch, join it, boom, fasten it off. That's it, you're done. All you have is that 1 piece to weave in. So that's how you would add a border. That's just for fun. It's not in the pattern, but if you want to do that, it's as simple as that. And if you want to get really fancy, you can work more rows into this row, because now you have a round. It's a round at this point. Now you have a whole round of single crochets. You could work, more like purple, a round of purple, and then another round of white. You can work double crochets. You can get real fancy with it and do whatever you want to do. So we have 10 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, or if anyone needs me to repeat anything, this is going to be recorded and it'll be on YouTube. Excellent corners. Thank you. Yeah, this is a pretty easy pattern, so not much to it. It's very repetitive. But if you're having trouble with the chenille yarn, just practice with like a nice worsted weight yarn. But I would say if you really love chenille yarn and you want to do something with it, this is a good stitch to do it with, because like I said, you're working into chain spaces. It's a little bit easier than working into stitches. You're welcome. Sometimes people try it with like an amigurumi or something, and that's really hard because you have to do smaller stitches and you have to work into the stitches. It's very doable. People do it all the time, but I would get used to the chenille before you kind of move on to something like this. And this is a good start for working with chenille yarns. So anybody have any other questions, you guys? Thank you so much for being here with me and spending your little afternoon with me. I'm here once a month. Next month, I'm going to do, in January, I'm going to do a temperature blanket. So that should be fun. So if you guys want to join me, check out the classes for the temperature blanket. That's going to be in the beginning of January if you want to start a fun project for the year. Thank you guys. Thank you to Michaels. A temperature blanket is like, it's a concept where you change color for the temperature that's in your area. So you make like every day you put a new stripe on your blanket for the temperature that it is outside. But so if you're interested in that, it's kind of a cool, fun concept. It makes a very colorful blanket. And we're going to do that in January. So look out for that class and check out the replay on YouTube and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a good holiday too. Bye guys. See you next time.